I remember the first occasion that Glen and I met. His older brother, Howard, in typical Howard fashion, brought Glen into my office. Our company in those days was very small. And he said, Larry, I'd like you to meet my kid brother, Glen. He's your assignment, and I want you to help him grow up as quickly as you can. This was 1983. Glen at that time was probably 23 or 24 years old. And we've kidded about it many times since then. It was the easiest assignment I've ever had in my professional life. It took about 5 minutes to get Glen to grow up. And that led to a wonderful relationship and friendship ever since. He came across with a great deal of maturity as someone who was very smart, a quick study, had tremendous self-confidence, and had tremendous drive. But in spite of that, he's a very warm, personal individual.
Glen and I made a decision early on that nothing was more important than giving back to community. We wanted our children to understand that. We were actually hoping there'd be a ripple effect among people that were around us. We didn't know it was going to be JDRF when we were first married. And when we first got involved in JDRF, it was to support our niece, Ashley. And then ironically, Sam was diagnosed.
Shortly after Ashley's diagnosis, Glen became very much involved with the JDRF and took it upon himself, actually, made it a personal quest, if you will, to raise the monies to cure the disease. He became involved with the JDRF and, as a director, as a major fundraiser at the galas, at the JDRF walks, and really lived it night and day for the past 16 years.
I didn't know there was a difference in diabetes, type 1, type 2, and what have you. And I remember how disturbed Glen was about that, and his commitment to doing everything he possibly could to assist Warren and Ashley and their family in combating this disease. And this was long before Glen had been successful financially and even in his career, but I remember even then he was very generous in supporting JDRF because he felt that was the way in which he could support, that he could provide support to Warren and Ashley.
Glen has been accused of wearing rose-colored glasses, and so I was curious when Glen walked into the hospital room whether those rose-colored glasses would still be there or whether he would be able to keep those on and show that can-do energy to Sam and that everything is possible. And not only were those rose-colored glasses on, but they turned a deeper color of rose. It really was an amazing sight to see. And as Sam looked at me for direction on how to feel about this, he looked to Glen as well in terms of, am I going to be okay? And Glen, with these rose-colored glasses, said, yeah, we're going to find a cure. It's going to be okay.
At times like that, you don't really know what to say to someone who is so close to you as Glen and I were close to one another. And then I recall saying to him, Glen, Sam's a really lucky kid because between you and Trish and Sam, the three of you are going to beat this rap. You're going to beat this because that's the Tullman way.
Glen learned it, jumped in and managed it, and more importantly, he did it with humor, and he distracted Sam. I was a little more very sort of logistical, strategic about it. Glen added a really important element for Sam. And to me, that's courage at its greatest, is when someone can overcome their own discomfort and, for the love of a child, be able to soothe that individual. That's courage.
That diagnosis reinforced in Glen this need that he felt to do anything that he possibly could to assist not only Sam now, but Ashley and the millions of other people who struggle with this disease. In a perverse way, it was a good thing for JDRF and for all the people who suffer from this disease, because when Glen Tullman is pursuing something, nothing will stop him.
Glen was the first person that I knew that was involved in JDRF, and he quickly helped me know that I could make a difference. Glen asked me to be a major donor and made it real clear that he had already gone to that level. And we became competitive on the walks, and I was always trying to one-up Glen, but you can't do that because he's so passionate about JDRF.
In all the time that he has been involved with the JDRF since 1994, Glen's generosity to the JDRF and his commitment to find a cure for diabetes has never wavered in all those years.
He's tireless. He just has endless energy. You cannot wear him out. And it's one of the reasons that he's been so successful. When he becomes committed to something, he just pursues it with an energy, a Glenergy, with a passion that virtually always ensures that he'll prevail. Juvenile diabetes is probably the most important cause in his life. As long as Glen is involved, if it is humanly possible, that disease will be conquered. And the resources that are needed by the medical community to continue to pursue their research, those resources will be made available in part because of Glen and his absolute commitment to this, and his ability to bring commitments from so many others who are in a position to help him in this cause. It's exciting. It's exciting.